Hey guys, Tom Mills here. This video is for all of you beginner drummers that you may have just got yourself a drum kit or wanting to pick up the sticks for the very first time. This is aimed towards complete beginners. So what I'm basically going to do is give you the 5 most important drumming tips and techniques to practice, basically, to begin with. Number 1, setup. So this is an electronic drum kit, which is slightly different to an acoustic kit, but we have all of the main parts of the drum kit. So to begin with, it's great to know what everything's called. So we've got the drums here, which is the snare drum, toms, tom 1, tom 2, and floor tom. Okay? And then with our feet, I'll show you this a bit more closely later, we've got the bass drum with the right foot and the hi-hat with the left foot. Then along the top here we've got our cymbals. We've got our hi-hat, crash and ride. So one of the most important things also is where the drums are in front of you. You know, if you've got a cymbal really high up here or a tom really low down here, it's no good really. What you want to do is make sure that you've got a nice straight back, a good posture, and you want all the drums to be just in front of you. So with your feet on the pedals, you want to make sure your legs are basically at right angles, going down to the, sort of like that, going down to the feet, to the pedals, and then the drums aren't really high up or aren't really low down, just sort of above your legs basically. And everything's really easy to get to, so just make sure that you're not putting cymbals really high up and drums really low down. Things are really difficult to get to. And you want to have nice posture, nice straight back and relaxed arms. Okay, number 2 is how we hold the sticks. Okay, so the easiest way to do this, I think, is just by placing the sticks down on a surface or on the ground, and how you would naturally go to pick them up is basically how you hold them, but you would naturally pick them up with these 2 fingers, like that, almost like a pinch, and then these 3 just loosely wrap around the back. So basically you've almost got a pinch there, but your thumb and your first finger are pinching like this, and we're trying to turn the hands over so the tops of the hands are always towards the ceiling, and it's very loose grip. It's not, a lot of drummers try and, when they first start, they think that you're holding the sticks with your fists. It's basically with these first 2 fingers is where you're holding, and then these last 3 are just loosely wrapped around the back. And then the movement, another key thing is the movement. We can do a lot of stuff with the arms, but most of the power we get, and it's really important, is from the wrist. So it's very loose grip, apart from these kind of first 2 or 3 fingers, and the last 3 are wrapped around the back. We also want to make sure we're not right at the end of the stick. We want to make sure we're basically about 2 centimeters up the stick there. It's kind of the sweet spot of having the maximum control of the sticks, coming from the wrist. The other thing with holding the sticks is striking the drum properly. Now, you get a lot of students when they first start, they're pushing into the drums, you know, everything kind of a push. It's not a push, we're not pushing into drums or cymbals, we're striking the drum and taking the stick off the head. Another really good tip, I think, is this is what we call the drum head. Obviously this is a practice pad, but it's the same idea. If you imagine the drum head is a couple of inches below where it actually is, so you're striking through the drum. Because at the end of the day, drums are we're moving air, you know, we're hitting a drum head and the air is moving the bottom head as well. We're moving air, so playing through the drums and also in the centre as much as you can. Centre of the drum is very important. So sticks, holding the sticks properly, striking from the wrist and trying to play through the drum, not pushing into the drums. Okay, like I said, we'll come back to the feet. So let's deal with the bass drum first. So the bass drum we play with our right foot. Now, obviously if we're left-handed, we would do everything the other way around. Left foot would play the bass drum, right foot would play the hi-hat, and the drum kit would be mirrored, but we can get to that. So basically, bass drum is played with the right foot. Now if you'll notice here, there's a few different techniques to playing the bass drum. This is probably the most powerful and used in most kind of pop, rock, you know, most drummers will play this kind of technique. You get much more power and accuracy because you're using the whole leg. But you're basically lifting up the back of the foot and just keeping just the front part of the foot on the pedal. So when you're not playing the bass drum, you've just got your weight on the pedal, and the beater, this is the beater here, is just against the head. And then you just lift your foot when you need to play it. Okay? Same thing really with the left foot. Again, I play heel up with the left foot. So again, just keeping the back of the foot off the pedal, and then when you need it, you can just play it like this. So now, getting on to actually playing some drums in real time, we're going to look at our fourth tip for total beginners is note values. Okay, so we're starting off with quarter notes. So basically this is, in music we divide up our bar of music. If you were to imagine this is our bar of music, you could imagine it's your birthday cake maybe, if it's your birthday, or a pie if you're a little bit older. whatever floats your boat. So if this is our bar of music, basically what we're doing is we're just splitting up it into different pieces or sections in the bar. So quarter notes, basically we split it into 1, 2, 3, 4. And then from there we can split up the bar again into 8, like that, which I've done pretty well with 4 sticks. And then from there you can split it up again into 16 and again into 32nd notes. So this idea of note values is dividing up the bar. Okay, so with quarter notes, remembering all of our holding the sticks properly, playing from the wrist, striking the drum in the middle, we want to count just with our right hand. Just with the right hand, we want to play quarter notes, which is our 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah? So that is quarter notes. So when we talk about eighth notes, we're bringing in the left hand. So remember when we divided the pie or the birthday cake into 8 bits, we have our eighth notes. So we bring in the left hand to do this, and the way we count this is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that would sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so if we try those two together, our quarter notes and our eighth notes, it would sound like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So those are our quarter notes and our eighth notes. Then from there we can try double the amount of notes again, which is 16th notes, which we count 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. So playing those together, we'll be going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, So that's a really, really great exercise and something that you'll always practice. And also another note to that is when we bring in the left hand, we've got our first rudiment, which is called a single stroke roll, because we're playing single strokes on each hand. And we can play single stroke roll in all the different note values. 8th notes, 16th notes, 32nd notes, and so on. So that's an introduction to note values. So that's a really important thing to be practicing. Okay, so next thing is to take those note values and to play what we call a drum groove with them. So if we were to look at the most basic and straightforward note value that we have, which is our quarter note, 1, 2, 3, 4. What we're going to do with this is convert this into a groove. So we're going to take the right hand up onto the hi-hat and play those quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And then what we want to do is play the snare drum with the left hand on 2 and 4. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Important to land the snare drum at exactly the same time as the hi-hat. 2, 3, 4. Okay? So that's half the groove. So for a second we're just going to take the snare drum out. We're going to go back to our quarter notes. And what we want to try and do is play the bass drum on 1 and 3, which is the opposite side of the groove. So we've got the snares on 2 and 4, but we're going to try the bass drums on 1 and 3. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So once you practiced the hi-hat with the snare drum and then the hi-hat with the bass drum, try and put the two together. So we have this 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and if you're still having trouble with that, we can simplify it even more. So we can simplify it to just 2 beats. Beat 1, which is bass drum and the hi-hat, and then beat 2, which is snare drum and the hi-hat. So they just repeat. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So once you've got your head around that, that is a quarter note groove, which is great. Moving on from there, we're taking our 8th notes, which is our 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but we're bringing that up onto the hi-hat, but we're going to play it with one hand this time. So we've got our 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and, so the snare drum and the bass drum are still playing the same numbers. So try the snare drum first. We're going to do it on the 2 and the 4. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and the same thing, trying to put the bass drum on the 1s and the 3s. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then when you've got those two together, we can try and put the two together. Bass drums on 1 and 3, snare drums on 2 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So there's your 8th notes. So again, if you're still having trouble with that, you can simplify the count to just 2. So because the 2 beats just repeat basically, because you've got your 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and, so you can think of beat 1 as 1 and and beat 2 as 2 and. So practice that 1 and on its own, and then 2 and on its own, and then try and bring the 2 together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And that is your 8th note groove. Okay, so those are all your basic 5 tips and techniques to practice for complete beginners on the drum kit. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Any questions, let me know, and yeah, tune in next time for the next lesson. Cheers, thanks, bye.